and kind of just went up from there.
Okay. Well, okay, let's get back onto you. Why are you logging on a day-to-day basis? Now, you've answered that somewhat, but because there's so much for you to do. But let's look at it another way. What's really making you happy when you log on?
I play Eve for the little glimmers. Eve has a lot of problems through various game mechanics and everything, but I log in for those little glimmers that happen, like when you really smash someone, like the time we more recently when we knocked out 2 IT Titans. Like, the whole campaign up to that point had been sort of stagnant for me, and it was all worth it the moment we got those kills.
Now, you're at the upper end of how would you put it? You can influence quite a great deal in the game now.
Mm-hmm.
What's next for you? Where do you go from being an FC of a large fleet?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep FCing, keep growing. There's nowhere's but up for us right now.
Now, what's annoying about the game to you?
Annoying about the game right now for me would have to be the lack of focus by CCP and the CSM on nullsec mechanics and their heavy-handed approach to it of late. With all the rumors of jump bridges being pulled and capital jump drives being changed, it's not the changes they should be making.
So where do you stand on that question?
Jump bridges will make the when you log in and when you hold like a chunk of space and you log in, you're like, okay, let's go kill something. You look at your map and you realize, oh, if we didn't have jump bridges, we'd have to go 30 jumps to maybe find a couple kills. Jump bridges make PvP happen. People complain that they're a way for people to just avoid gates and avoid gate camps and everything. But without jump bridges, most of the fights, like the NC wouldn't be hitting the drones and the drones wouldn't be defending. They'd all just be staying local. They wouldn't be going anywhere. The game would really dry up quickly if there wasn't jump bridges.
Mm.
Not to mention like logistics of EVE Online as it is.
So would you, if you were arguing with someone on that case, and they said, well, what's your idea? What's better than changing jump bridges and so on? What would you have a suggestion?
On jump bridges, no, they're fine as they are.
Well, is there some other way to make the game?
Super capital bloat's a real problem right now. Back when we were first reorganizing Goonswarm and everything, we couldn't do anything on a super capital level because we could only get 5 or 6 or whatever, and we didn't have good organization. The past few months of me I've focused on sort of getting us up to the point where we can now just drop 30 motherships on anyone's head on a whim. And the fact that we can do that, and there's pretty much no one who can instantly counter 30 motherships on your head. It's the fact that, well, and unless you have 30 Titans, then you just drop those instead. It's super capital bloat is a really big problem, because they're not, even though CCP removed or horrendously decreased the damage fighter bombers due to subcaps, there's just no way for a subcap fleet to take on a cap fleet at all. It's not feasible. They could just log out, or they can just clear the bubbles, warp off, and then it's done.
Are there still a lot of lag issues at your level of involvement?
Well, the second you launch drones, lag just kicks in. It just goes on and on. It's fighter bombers are cool, but they cause so much lag. It's ridiculous.
So, has there ever been an impression that CCP has made an effort to reduce lag?
It was worse. It was a lot worse. It's not as bad now, but the second the drones launch and the guns start firing, the game just chugs down to a halt, and it really ruins the moment. It ruins the immersion of it all, I guess you could say, if you're into that. But it's frustrating because then it's hard to know what's going on, and you have to wait 10, 15 minutes to figure out what's going on at all.
It's very difficult to argue that it is actually a game in that regard. It's like if you bought a real-time strategy game, and every time you went to actually play the strategy part of it, the game crashed.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, no matter how compelling the other parts of the game were, it would be difficult for you to keep playing. And yet we have a game with so many people in it, and such an important part, the part that brings out the strongest emotions in its players. It's also the part that keeps consistently failing over so many years.
Well, that's the thing, is the majority of, even though people go on about how huge the NC or whoever is that the majority of the player base is still in high sec. And as seen by our CSM even thinking that removing jump bridges is viable, that says a lot about how the game is seen from the high sec perspective, I guess.
Okay. Now let's go on to talking about your connection to Something Awful forums. Do you think that having such a strong forum background to your group, do you think that's vital to your success? Because you're a very large group, you've got a huge number of members.
You need something that ties you together. That's the thing. Like that's why you see IT, for example, fracturing. They don't have a common ground other than Internet Spaceship Honor, I guess. And we often say that posting is everything, and that we're very proud of our posting or whatever. And it really does. It's the community aspect of it. It's the sort of like-mindedness. Even though we yell at each other constantly and remind each other how much we hate each other. It keeps us together. Like when we lost Delve due to our CEO's massive incompetence, we didn't fracture. We just rebuilt.
Okay. Now, CSM coming up. What kind of are there issues that aren't high up on the table that you would personally like to see?
That's the trick, is that back in 2006 or whatever, you could actually achieve things with smaller ships. Now you get outclassed by 40 dudes in hacks or whatever just rolling around, or 10 motherships if you're a cap fleet. I think the math works out that 50 dreads can't take 10 motherships, which is just messed up. Combat balance is a really big thing in EVE right now that needs to be looked at, and isn't being looked at all because of the way the super cap changes were initially put out. It almost makes you think that CCP knows, or whoever who had the idea of cutting motherships' costs in half and making them really easy to get into, and then them reverting that was almost a change to get us to agree to what we currently have now.
Okay, let's get on to metagaming. Metagaming is applying knowledge from the outside of the game and the setting of the game to affect your gameplay. Do you think it's a positive or negative for the game?
Positive. It adds a lot of character to the game that you don't see in any other game. That's the one thing that you can always be proud of for EVE, is that you're always looking to figure out a way to go beyond the game and make the game something else for yourself. Like, well, often spying, or, I guess spying is the most common one, is that you see people going deeper, I guess you could say, into the game to make the game more playable, enjoyable, just to ruin someone's day. It's,
Because it makes me think of the fact that is the space trading game is definitely a genre that has a lot of followers, and yet Eve has this entire additional element to it that outside of Eve hadn't really been thought about.
Yeah.
The idea that you can have people playing a game without actually, say, logging in or
That's the trick, is that I often I can go a day without logging in, mostly because I have people I talk to people on other, whether it's through like text messages or through Jabber or IRC or whatever. The game itself is everything we do outside of the game is just influence. Like I often joke about how we don't even play Eve online. We just I just log in to do ops or whatever.
Have you had any problems with your personal security or privacy?
I had my real name posted by Yoggin of PL on Scrap Heap once, and that was kind of creepy. But otherwise, no. No, I haven't. I wore a Goonfleet T-shirt to a movie once and had some guy glaring at me for 20 minutes. That was kind of weird, but other than that, no. No threats of cutting power to kill my Titan or anything.
So have you, do you think it's possible to deliberately design an MMO to have metagaming in it? Or do you think it's something that spontaneously evolves out of a game?
I think it all depends on the players you draw to the game. If you can attract enough different people and enough cultures of people and everything, you're going to have plenty of conflict, and you're going to have people who are looking to go beyond the game to win and sort of drive forward, which Eve has done pretty well.
Okay. So, before we wrap up, where are you going to say with this week? What's happening this week?
This week we're in our cleanup phase. It's kind of funny how we constantly get laughed at for having the NC's help or whatever, but Empyrean of Morsus Mihi has been running around the clock just wiping up Fountain with us. So this week is cleaning up Fountain and getting Sov in its proper owner's hands. I think we have something like 1 or 2 constellations left to go, actually. Let me check. Yeah, about 1 or 2 constellations left, and then Fountain will be free. So,
before we finish, Delve. Well, is that a question?
I think Delve's an inevitability. Someone's going to want to go for it, but it's 63 stations. That's not fun. That is another problem that needs to be looked at, is that it takes, if there's a station and an infrastructure hub in a system, it takes 6 days of fighting in your enemy's prime every time to take a system. And for Delve and Queries, you have to do it 63 times.
Okay, let's look at it another way. If not you, then who else?
The Russians in Ketch. They have their grudge with Querius. They've always wanted, and they now have the 49-U system. Yeah, that's been a sore spot for them for a long time. I could see Test with their ever-growing numbers and promise. I could see them maybe making a push for it, but it's not like it would be a hard push. You just have to wake up at really bad times to get it done. That's the real trick, is IT almost broke us by putting everything for downtime and making us wake up at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning for 6 days straight. That wasn't very fun.
Okay, we'll leave it there then. Thank you for talking to me on behalf of the Kagutsuman forums. It's been very interesting, and congratulations so far on, well, not having to fight, not losing too many ships. Let's just leave it at that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.